We are hitting the post. NorthJerseySports.com's original multimedia series talking all things soccer across North Jersey, and we are down to the nitty-gritty. This is the playoff reset edition. I am Corey Doviak, being joined by my illustrious panel of North Jersey high school soccer insiders, and there's only one guy that fits the bill, Richie Ballgame Barton. What's up, Richie B?
Which is crazy because I really don't fit into much else these days. I mean, I am just ballooning off it. But, yeah, no, it's the best time of the year. I mean, state tournament soccer, you got great games, 2 o'clock starts. I mean, you can't ask for anything better. And the weather's been so far pretty cooperative. We don't know about Monday or Tuesday, but, hey, you got to play it out.
Yeah, no, it's a fun time of the year in soccer. And, you know, what we're going to talk to on this show tonight, we're going to talk to the, as Richie and I were just saying before we came on the air here, the head coach of the most dominant program, any sport, boys or girls, in the history since NorthJerseySports.com has been around, late in the 1999-2000 high school sports season. Northern Highlands head coach Tara Madigan is going to join us shortly, so it's going to be interesting to pick her brain here going into the state sectional semifinals. We're going to get to that interview shortly, but before we do, Richie B, why don't we just go around? We'll do the boys soccer breakdown after we talk to Madigan, but why don't we set up her appearance with talking a little bit of girls soccer here and a quick glance around the brackets at what we have left. Interesting because of alignments nowadays. You have some in-area teams against out-of-area teams. You have some places, for example, North 1, Group 1, one side of the bracket, Saddlebrook the number 3 against Midland Park the number 2. That you'd expect there. Then the other side of the bracket is Hawthorne against Mountain Lakes. Maybe two teams that we're not used to seeing this deep in the state tournament run. Now, I know you are the resident expert on Hawthorne. You've covered them, I believe, twice this year. And they have a talented freshman. So, now is the time for people to start making their marks on the, state tournament and on school history and everything else. And the young lady from Hawthorne certainly has that opportunity.
No doubt about it. I mean, they're going up. I mean, don't be fooled by the seed stuff because Mountain Lakes is defending champ. They brought a bunch of players from last year's team, had a little bit of a disappointing regular season against a tough schedule, but beat top-seeded Kittatinny. I mean, they're probably the most talented team in the section, but Hawthorne on a bumpy grass field,
right?
As I wrote in my article, I mean that is a little bit of a game changer because you have to play differently. And they played the ball long up to Brianna Andrioli, the freshman, who has, she had 27 goals, and she is, she can move and she puts shots on target. I mean, Heather Bertolo in the middle of the field for them is solid. I mean, I don't know
anything about Mountain Lakes.
No, I just know. I know that they brought back a bunch of players and they were the defending section champ.
Right.
So it probably worked out, but I bet you they haven't played on the field like Hawthorne. And how they adjust to that is going to dictate how well Hawthorne plays. If Hawthorne gets stayed in early, I mean, the later the game goes on, it's going to be a huge advantage for the Bears. But if they fall behind 1-0, it's going to be tough for them to come back. On the other side of the bracket, you got Saddlebrook at Midland Park. Saddlebrook, lost their first 2 games of the year, and since they currently, I bet you don't know this, a little trivia, the current longest win streak in New Jersey right now, 19 games. Lost their first 2, haven't lost since. And, but they're going up against, they have the 2 Georgievich sisters, Alexis and Ashley up top. Ashley has like 30-something goals. Alexis is an athletic keeper. Midland Park, more of a well-rounded, deeper team, I would say. But that's another field. The field does not drain well. Supposed to rain Monday and Tuesday. I don't know how that plays into the game overall. Yeah. But that's going to be interesting.
Yes, and then North 1 Group 2 is my favorite bracket right now because on the bottom side you have 2 good stories. You got number 10 Pascack Hill still alive. You have Demarest, which is having the best season in girls soccer history. Best season in the history of that program this year. They made it to the Bergen County semifinals. They'll be on their home field. They have a nice mix of talented seniors and younger players who, Demarest is starting to turn into a little bit of a program here where they expect to be competitive year in and year out. Pascack Hill is trying to spoil the party. And then on the top side of the bracket, number 1 Ramsey, number 4 Westwood. And last year I covered this same game in the same round. Westwood won, I think it was 2-1. Whatever it was a one-goal game. And that's what really sparked Westwood onto the brilliant run that they had all the way to the state final, where they lost by a goal to Wall, but were down 3-0 or 2-0 or 3-0, whatever it was, came all the way back, lost 4-3 in one of the most fun state finals. Sometimes you get to a state final and it's just a bad game, It could be a mismatch based on strength of schedule and all those other type of things, or, a boring game where teams are too cautious. That was probably one of the best state finals I've ever covered in girls soccer. And now the rematch this year, 1 year later, it's Ramsey that's the number 1 seed. Again, they will be on their home field. They played great in been to the Bergen County final twice in a row. This year they played great against, we know how good Northern Highlands is. And Ramsey, one of these teams is set to go on another bit of a run here. And with Demarest at the bottom of the bracket, this one is wide open. Your thoughts on North 1 Group 2?
I think it's an interesting bracket. I wouldn't call it wide open. I think Ramsey is definitively the team to beat. Pascack Hill's big upset with the Glen Rock. I don't know, how well they're going to do against a Demarest team that's solid defensively, especially with Emma Miller at that. Ramsey, Westwood, they're two teams that know each other extremely well. Westwood, Megan Randell up top, Lucy Porter in the middle of the field. But I think Alexa Correa it's weird. It sounds good. She's the best player, but she's also the X factor. When she is totally at the top of her game, she's one of the best players in the state, and she's by far the best player in this section. And she's a difference maker every time she touches the ball. I think this is Ramsey's section to lose, and I don't know. I just don't know if the other teams have the offensive firepower to keep up with the Ramsey.
Well, Westwood, like last year, is coming in on fire. They've won a host of games in a row, and Ramsey is the favorite. Yes, I do agree with you, but, 2 of the 4 teams in the bracket were in the Bergen County semifinals, one of the most competitive county tournaments in the state. So, and Demarest lost to Northern Highlands, so there's no shame in that. And Ramsey, when you say game-changing players, one who will be on the field this year who was not last year is Helene Taberski. I don't know if I'm saying the last name right. I spelled it wrong in the article because I got an email and had to fix it. But she's a freshman. She's playing in the center of their defense. And against Northern Highlands, you know what kind of pressure a team is going to absorb when they play Northern Highlands, and she was great. She's a true two-footed player as a freshman. She clears the ball out with her left foot, with her right foot, and then down by a goal in the last 20 minutes, they pushed her forward. So you're right that Ramsey is the most talented side, but I think Westwood, again, has that camaraderie and that something special that could make it interesting, too. And plus, I don't want to just say Ramsey's going to win because that would be putting the kibosh on our buddy Kevin the Maven Sabella. We don't want to do that.
We seem to do it to everybody all the time, so what's the difference?
All right, North 1 Group 3 we're going to skip because we're going to talk about it with Tara in a minute. North 1 Group 4, we got one team left. We have the 5th-seeded Ridgewood Maroons. They got a tough one on the road at top-seeded West Orange. The other side of the bracket is Livingston and Montclair, and I really don't care who wins. So Ridgewood, can they do it, Richie B? What do you know about Ridgewood?
Can they do it? Yes. They've been a gritty team all year. This is a team that has a win over Ramapo. Delaney Bessel has been a clutch goal scorer down the stretch for them. Beating West Orange out West Orange is going to be a tall order. But can they do it? Yes. But it has to be a full 80 minutes to beat a team like that. It can't be, there can't be any inconsistency. Also, Britt Cunningham and net, one of the most underrated keepers in New Jersey by far. Yep,
a returning first-team All-County selection from last year. Other than that, Richie B, in the non-public A, you got defending champion IHA. They're the top seed. They're going to host Oak Knoll, Mount St. Dominic, and Passaic County champion DePaul at the bottom of the bracket. That could be an interesting final, IHA and DePaul.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, they had a couple of battles early in this year. They split their 2 games, and I think one was 3-2 and the other 4-3 or something like that. But, IHA is starting to come on in DePaul, having won a Passaic County championship, beating a team like Wade Valley. I mean, Victoria Carnival is one of the better playmakers around, and the NFL is real tough up top. It's going to come down to who plays better defensively, because they've both had stretches where they've let up, multiple goals in a game to not the strongest offensive teams. So I think that game is going to be wide open and physical, and it should be fun. We'll see who comes out on top. I'm not making any predictions. I can't do that.
Right. All right. So in North 2, Group 1, the only team we have left there is Secaucus, and the reason why I mentioned that, Richie B, 7-seeded Patriots on the road at your beloved Glen Ridge.
I mean, listen, Maris Rodriguez, super athlete, and point guard on the basketball team, speedster, physical up top. She's scoring goals in bunches, but I mean, when you face the Ridge, what are you going to do? I mean, we just, North 2 Group 1. I mean, that's just, it's a playpen for the Ridgers.
Yes. And the only other team remaining, we have Rutherford still left in North 2 Group 2. They're in the semifinals. They're the 3 seed. They'll visit Morris Tech. And other than that, that's everything. So the only one we haven't touched on is North 1 Group 3, being that this is the playoff edition of Hitting the Post here. We had to reach out for the top of the notch as far as local high school soccer coaches, and joining us on the Felician University hotline is the head coach of the Northern Highlands, I should say, the juggernaut Northern Highlands Highlanders girls soccer program. She hates when I say that because I put the kibosh on her, but she is Tara Madigan. Tara, thanks for joining us here on Hitting the Post.
You got it, guys. Always a pleasure. Can't wait for this conversation. It's entertaining, isn't it?
Yes, and you should have heard the one we just had off the air. You would have enjoyed it a lot more. Anyway, we're in crunch time here, and you always find yourself in these positions here. Just talk about your kids. The unbelievable thing about the amount of success that you've had over the years is how your kids are focused, game in and game out. I mean, I've seen you lose some state playoff games, not many, over the last 10 years. But, the other team always has to come out and beat you. You've never beaten yourself. Your kids are focused and 100% effort all the time. And that's hard to do. I think that's the secret to your success. Would you like to share that secret with us, Tara?
No, we don't usually share our secrets.
I thought you were going to say
having
that.
A secret recipe and putting it on paper and sharing it with people. We don't do that. No.
Right.
But I will answer your question.
Thank you.
I do think that part of our success absolutely has to do with the hard work and the dedication that our players have sustained and maintained over the course of the last, however many years to be at the level that they're at. We clearly graduate kids every year, and there's a new group and a new roster every year, and I think the players that remain year after year are the ones that really lead the underclassmen and, kind of show them the expectations and the standards, and they are the ones that themselves are the ones that are, really role modeling it at practices to prepare us, and I think that a lot of that credit is to our players. By all means, I think as coaches we try to foster that, but inevitably it's the players that really have to buy in and, continue to have that characteristic with them day in and day out.
One thing I want to follow up quickly before I let Richie ask his first question here, because it just popped into my mind. We talked about it after the Bergen County, I think it was the semifinals. You talk about that long line of players that have come through your program. One of the best that Richie and I have ever covered is Claire Shea, who was an absolute killer on restarts. I mean, probably scored more headers off of long throw-ins and corner kicks than any other player in Bergen County history. But interesting that she came back to talk to your team. Just give us a quick update on what Claire Shea's up to nowadays.
Claire graduated from West Point last May, and I had an opportunity to go up there and be part of that graduation, which was a fantastic experience. If anyone's never ever gone to a graduation of that West Point is just a sight to see. Very memorable. I was honored to be there, and she is now working as a director of operations with the women's soccer team as part of her first assignment, and she will be heading off to Germany in the spring for her second assignment, and she will be there for probably anywhere from up to 2 years plus.
Yeah.
So we were, it was awesome to have her back. I had an opportunity to listen to her during the school day, and they focused a lot on leadership and kind of structured the conversation based on the classes that were there to experience it. And then, it was an honor to kind of have her just with our team and, talk about her experiences at Highlands and her experiences at West Point and how she can relate to them and provide them with some advice as they, go through their high school careers. So it was awesome. It was great to have her back. We love having her, and we stay in touch with her quite often. So always a pleasure to have Claire Shea back in the room.
Yes, Richie B, one of the best players you ever covered, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, she was awesome. Great kid, great quote, and always showed up in a big game.
Yep.
She won every ball in the air. She's communicative. That's probably the biggest word I've ever used, by the way.
And she could beat you in a wrestling match in about 8 seconds.
Well, yeah.
Me too, by the way. Go ahead, Richie.
Talk about, the state tournament is a little bit of a different animal than the regular season or the county tournament because the finality of it. You lose the state tournament, the season's over. And in your section, everyone's so familiar, and so many teams put, 9 or 10 behind the ball against you. You, try to think of different wrinkles to get around that, or are you just thinking, we're going to play our way? If they get 10 behind the ball, we're just going to keep pounding them until we find a way to get back to the net.
Looking at our section, I was thinking initially that I was like, wow, this is a very, very talented, competitive section. I mean, that Roxbury is a 16 seed.
Right.
Roxbury is a good program. I mean, it was a 1-0 game at halftime. So, respect to them that I did not think that was a 16 seed. So you look at the bracket and you're like, that's a 16 seed. This has got to be a difficult bracket. And every team comes in with different strategies, and based on what we feel we're going to be up against, we will certainly discuss that at our practices and prepare for what we feel is going to give us the best advantage or what's going to force us to be successful. Obviously, more so offensively. If a team's going to put 10 people behind the ball, then our strategy offensively is going to be a little bit different than if someone's going to play us straight up in a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 or whatever it may be. But, I think that with the scouting and taping and looking at tape and watching how teams play and what their tendencies are, we certainly are, changing our strategies and our styles based on it. Not entirely, but, I think if you're looking at a team that's going to put 10 people behind the 50-yard line, your strategy offensively is going to be different than if a team's going to play you straight up.
Yeah, and you showed off the versatility, I thought, in the Bergen County tournament. Demarest sat in against you, and Ramsey tried to play you, and you won both games. Let's talk about that Ramsey game. It's a couple weeks in the past, but I was happy to see that Ramsey came out and played you, and that was the best county final I've covered since you played IHA in that game a few years ago. That was, drew national attention because both of you were at the top. But Ramsey really came out to play you, and I thought that gave your girls, specifically Claudia DePasupal, a tremendous opportunity.
How come in 4 years neither of us know how to say her last name?
Yeah, really.
No, you got it. That was correct.
Did I?
Correct. You got it right. Yeah.
Listen to me brag now. Claudia DePasupal got the opportunity to show off her speed and her left foot and all those type of things. So, I mean, that was, it's different perspectives. Me watching it as a journalist covering the game and hoping for, crazy things to happen to write about. And you, as an obvious partisan, rooting for your team and working hard. But, talk about, just take a quick word back to that county final. That was fun from my perspective. How about yours?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought it was a great game. And knowing Kevin for as long as I've known him, there was no doubt in my mind that Ramsey was going to play us straight up. So, that's what we were preparing for going into that game. And, I thought they played us very competitively. I thought that, that was probably their best game of the year. I had seen them quite a few times. I had seen them the week prior in the semifinal, and I thought that they played us better in the final than they had played in the semifinal, in my personal opinion. I thought that they were just, well organized. I thought that they executed their game plan well. And 5 minutes we were the ones that were having the great, possession and creating opportunities. And the next 10 minutes it was them, and then it was back to us. And, it was a lot of back and forth, and I think that's what made it, exciting and entertaining, and it made it, a great game for fans to watch. It really did come down to the wire with a late goal being the second goal, but there was still, 20 minutes left in the game to hold that one goal lead. So I think that overall I thought it was a great final, and it was nice that there were a lot of fans, specifically students, from both schools that were there.
Yeah.
To be there and support both programs.
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. Go ahead, Richie B.
Your program has been known for being high flying up front, just running through every ball. But what kind of gets lost in the shuffle is how composed your teams always are in the back. Talk about some merged and solidified that defense.
Olivia Holman's been back there. This is her 4th year for us, and she's had an experience of playing with so many different players around her in the back. And, despite the fact that there's been turnover and new players back there, that's one of our main focuses. Once August rolls around, that's our first priority. It always has been, and probably will always be that way. We want to make sure that we have a solid defensive line, and that we need the 4 players that we feel will work best in that unit together. And it's not always the 4 best players, but it's the 4 that will work best within that unit, because it's so important for one to work off of each other. And Allie Height is another returning player on the back line, and Carolyn Weinberger had a significant amount of playing time for us last year, and she's returning. And Grace Schmakowski is another player that, it's a new position for her, but it has also shown her versatility. And, I think it's a credit to them and those that play in front that we've allowed, I think, 9 goals this season, which is an accomplishment in itself. But we truly, as a program, focus a lot on defense. So I'm glad they bought into that.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's a good point, too, because it does get lost in the shuffle. I mean, I'm just thinking back to some of the players that you've had running around up top for you over the years. It's crazy, when you, the Hannah Kerners of the world, who broke her nose 17 times in high school because she refused to back away from a challenge at any point in her high school career, and other ones. But the defense has been solid, too. Have you ever taken I know what your answer is going to be, and you're going to say no and blah, 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 but I would be curious, in a candid moment, of you putting together like an all-time 11, or maybe even your best overall team.
I've thought about it.
You have?
I have thought about it, and that's a very, very difficult question, but I thought about it because I'm like, I wonder, because kids at school will ask, oh, is this like the best team that you've ever had at Highland?
Right.
And not to say that like that's something that they ask every year, but when there's a year that the team is very successful and it's early September and there's like younger, students in the building, they're sophomores. They haven't been around for the last 8-9 years, so they might not know, and they always say, oh, is this the best team that you've ever had? And it's a question that I got last year and the year before, and it's always like a difficult question to answer, but then you think about all the teams that you've had and the players that you've had along the way, and I don't really look at it like, is this the best team? Is this the best team? And it's kind of more so every team has something special, and it's so different depending on the group of kids that you have. And, as coaches, it's not always the successes on the field. It's the dynamic of the group and, how well they get along and, the fun memories that you have off the field as well. But, when you think about the individual players, that is very, very hard. I mean, Sarah Shea is definitely one up there, but, oh my God, like there's a list of so many. Hannah Kerner is another, all-time player. Madison Holleran was another one. And then you had Carly Leipzig, who played for 2 years, and then she got hurt, and now she's a senior at Boston College, just having a fantastic year. And, there's so many names. Jackie Ranico with, like, the 70-yard throw-in.
Yeah, I mean, how do you collect? That's
one after the other.
That was the most deadly weapon Jackie Ranika's
Yeah,
long
absolutely.
throws.
I'm like, why did Claire Shea have 30 goals?
Right.
Jackie Ranica put it on her head.
What about Christina Gomez?
That's another one. And
Yeah.
those were ones that, like, Jen Byers, those
Yes.
Yeah.
the players
The goalie.
that were there when I first kind of came in. Like, those kids were like my
We're
second
so
year.
old.
That's so true.
That's it. Yeah, and then when I think about those kids, I'm like, oh my god, some of them are like married and some of them have kids already, and then I'm like, I can't think about that and being feel so old. So then I'll just focus on the kids from like the last 5 or 6 years that are still like in college.
Yeah, no.
There you go.
It is crazy. It is, but the Jackie Ranica thing. She was the most versatile player. I mean, you could. It's not like you couldn't. I remember against West Morris Central in the semifinals. They probably had seen it on tape or knew about it. The long throw, all that other stuff, and they played the ball out the first time you had it. They play it out to the side. Jackie Ranica threw the ball directly into the net, and the goalie, tipped off the goalie's glove. 12 seconds into the game, you're up 1-0. Was game over right there. But just think about it. If you had somebody else who could do a long throw with Jackie Ranica's height, she could have been devastating. She could have been the Claire Shea. She also had a good service. She was forget athletically, but as far as like a unicorn on a girls' high school soccer field, Jackie Ranica was it. So
absolutely, I told Jackie when she was a senior that she needed to play in college. I was like, college coaches will put you in just to throw the ball in.
That's true.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah, that's true. She did. She went to play basketball at Princeton. Is that correct?
She did. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So the white elephant in the room here. I know you're not. Again, you're gonna cut me off because you're fully focused on Wayne Valley in the North 1 Group 3 state sectional semifinals coming up on Tuesday. But the white elephant is that other team, the one that handed you your lone loss of the season this year, the greatest rivalry in North Jersey girls soccer. Have you even thought maybe just an inkling ahead to the second-seeded Green Raiders?
Yeah. I mean, I think that as soon as you look at that bracket, you're like, there's a possibility that this is going to happen. Then you still have to get ahead of yourself and look at it because it is a state tournament and it's a win and move on, and you don't want to get stuck in looking at the future because it might cause you to lose a game that you don't necessarily think that you should or expect that you would. And Roxbury's case in point, as 16 seed, it was 1-0 at half. So
right.
You never know. And I thought Wayne Hills played us as competitively as possible, and the last time we played them it was 3-0, and this time it was 2-0. And we played Wayne Valley early on in the season, and I'm sure that both of us, our lineups have changed, and some of the things about our programs have changed over the course of the last 2 months. But they're having a great year too, and I'm not going to take that for granted. And the fact that we're playing against each other on Tuesday, I respect them. I think they've had a great year, and we saw them early in the year, and it was a 1-0 game. So, for now we're focused on Tuesday. And if we're fortunate enough to get Vital Friday, so be it. We don't really care who we're playing, but ideally, yes, I think that everyone right now at this point is shooting to get to a sectional final.
It might even cause Richie Ballgame Barton to come out and cover a Northern Highlands girls soccer game for the first time in about 5 years if Ramapo and Northern Highlands played in the sectional final. Right, Richie B? Are you there? Did we lose him? All right, hold on.
I'm right here. Can you let me talk for crying out loud? Please.
He didn't jump in, Tara. I mean, the guy doesn't get many opportunities.
Sorry, I took a couple of years off.
That's all right. That's all right. We understand.
Yeah, and Tara, it's true that you don't want him around the field anyway. Is that correct?
Well, he might be the jinx. I don't know. Sometimes you got to stick with the guys.
Why am I always the jinx?
Corey
Right.
was at our game, the semifinal game. He was there for the final. So,
Yes, he was.
Things went our way, and so if he comes, it's like it's okay. But I don't know.
Why do all coaches tell me I'm a jinx? Like somebody has to win. Somebody has to win. I can't be a jinx for everybody.
The NorthJerseySports.com jinx applies to every team we've ever covered, Richie B. Every game has ended in a loss for every coach that we've ever covered.
It's ridiculous.
All right, Tara, last thing from me. state, last year, it's not often that I was there again in the state semifinals last year. Middletown South got an early one on you and then packed it in, and you guys had 100 shots on goal. Just none of them went in. It was a tough way to end last season. Not that you wanted to go through it, but I'm sure that serves as some type of motivation for your girls this year here, because the ones that are back last year didn't end the way that Northern Highlands would like it to happen. For anybody else, that's an all-time season. For you, it's not.
Right. Absolutely. I think that particularly the seniors that are back this year that experienced that last year, that's certainly something that they have not forgotten about, and I think that even coming into the season was motivation right from the start. And they've had a successful season so far, and they are achieving goals that they've set forth for themselves and for the team, and they still hopefully have a long way to go. And I hope that they get the opportunity to at least put themselves in a position to achieve the remaining goals that they have set forth.
Richie B, would you like to say anything else? This is your big chance, brother.
Nope. When you have a pro like Tara Madigan on, you just let her talk.
Yes.
What can I do to add to the conversation?
Well, judging by the last 20 minutes, the answer is absolutely nothing.
Well, he did use a big word.
Right. Yes. He did use a big word. And Tara, you know what? When the season is over, when all is said and done, we're going to reconvene and we're going to put together the all-time Tara Madigan top 11 and we're going to.
That's going to take me a long time.
Yes, but we're going to do it because I'm curious. It would be a fun exercise in futility, and that's what I have dedicated my life to. So I certainly look forward to one more task as such. But Tara Madigan, head coach of the Northern Highlanders, congratulations on everything you've accomplished over the last decade. And good luck going forward here last couple weeks of the season. Enjoy it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
All right, Richie B. Interesting stuff there, as always, with Northern Highlands head coach Tara Madigan. And now it is time to shift gears as we move over to the state sectional semifinals coming up in boys soccer in North Jersey. And let's start with the little guys. North 1, Group 1. We got a lot of local interest in there. 3 of the top 4 seeds remaining in the bracket. All 3 of them are from Bergen County. Number 1, Waldwick, against number 4, Wallington, and number 2, Park Ridge is really, they're hosting your new favorite team, the Barnstorming Bombers from Boonton Township High School.
Yeah, listen, Boonton, 2 games I really thought they had no chance of winning, but they beat Asbrook Heights. BKs, take Pompton Lake, BKs beat them, and Park Ridge. Park Ridge has got something going on. I'm more concerned with the other semifinal, because I think that, speaking of wide open games, that's going to be a wide open game. Waldwick and Wallington, they both like to push numbers forward, and they're Waldwick off of the Bergen County semifinals. They're going to be chomping at the bit, but Wallington is no slouch, and they have done well in the state tournament before. So that's going to be a fun one to be around.
Yeah, Waldwick is, I saw them in the Bergen County semifinals. An outstanding team this year. The Bergen County tournament this year in boys soccer was fun because you had 2 Group 2s in Ramsey and Glen Rock make the final. You had 4 public schools in there. Paramus hasn't been there in a while. And then you had the Group 1, the nice little underdog story coming through and really giving it a go. So I think momentum is on Waldwick's side. But, Wallington, with their history and their, ability to play, they're not going to sit in a shell, and they're going to try to take it to Waldwick. So it could be an interesting game there. And, Park Ridge, with Nardi Lita as their score. I saw them earlier in this year against Palisades Park. Real good team. And they have something special going on, too. So, North 1, Group 1, always competitive. This year, no different. Moving over to North 1, Group 2. Ramsey, the number 1 seed, they host Mawa, and then Lakeland will visit Glen Rock. And no knock on Mawa, which beat a very good Dumont team to get this far, and Lakeland, which is making a nice run in itself. But the game that everybody wants to see, at least in the circles that I travel in, is the rematch between Ramsey and Glen Rock, the Bergen County final, to be played out again in the North 1 Group 2 state sectional final.
No doubt about it. But, in the state tournament, you see these upsets all the time.
Yep.
Teams looking ahead, hoping to get a shot at the other team, and they look past the team that's right in front of them. And we'll see if that's the case. I mean, Lakeland's a good team. Lakeland's a tough team, and Mawa and Ramsey. I mean,
rivalry.
On paper, you would say Ramsey's better, but it's a rivalry. Teams know each other. They play each other. I mean, you would think, again, on paper, you would think Ramsey and Glen Rock are going to go through, but you never know. Someone scores early and then packs it in or whatever. I mean, wacky things happen in the state tournament, and I'm not so sure that Ramsey and Glen Rock are going to find themselves in the section final.
Well, Richie B, I picked Glen Rock to win the Bergen County tournament. Well documented. Is that correct?
You did.
Yes.
You did. And yes, you did. And you did it early, too.
I did it early, yes. Just because of the confidence and the returning experience and the negative way that the season ended for them last year. I thought they had all the motivation, which I think they continue to have, and will serve them well here on this state tournament run, too. So I'm picking a Glen Rock Ramsey final, and, I won't pick the winner, but I think that will be an entertaining game that we certainly have to get to. North 1 Group 3, Paramus is all the way back. They are the top seed in the bracket. Now, just out of sheer luck, I did get to see Montville, Paramus' opponent. I went to cover the Old Tappan coronation and wound up with an upset. Montville beat Old Tappan in double overtime, and it was not a fluke. They are a very well-organized side. Head coach Kevin Brown, a Wayne Valley graduate who we both covered when he was a player under Dan Kilday on some very good Wayne Valley teams. He's got them well-organized. Hendrick Mayer is a midfield player that any coach would love to have. He is a guy who can hold up play. He's a guy who runs through balls. He, seeks out contact rather than shies away from it. And I think that Montville, in a night game at Paramus, is going to give the top-seeded Spartans all they can handle. And on the other side of it, we hear it was weird this year to cover the Bergen County tournament and not see Ramapo making a deep run. They had won the previous 4 before this. This year they lost 3 games, all of them to teams that made the Bergen, at least as far as the Bergen County semifinal. And now you look down, there's 4 teams left in North 1 Group 3, and Ramapo has a home game in the semifinals. So the rumors of Ramapo's demise, Richie B., greatly exaggerated.
Greatly exaggerated. And, I mean, let's face it, this is a program that they come into each season expecting, county title, sections title, state title.
Yep.
Those are the goals. And, disappointing way the county ended, I mean, all their eggs are in one basket now. And I'm interested to see how they come out against Morris Hills. Playing against the team, their entire schedule is against familiar opponents that are, easy to scout because either they've seen him or they know someone who's seen him or they've seen him on tape. And then you get a team like Morris Hills that they really don't know anything about. But I think that'll actually simplify things in a way that they could just worry about what they can control. And they can control, winning 50-50 balls and really, using the entire field. And if they do that, they should be pretty successful.
Yeah, and I have only seen Ramapo once this year. It was in their state tournament opener, 6-1 win against West Milford. And I forgot just how good Matthew O'Shea is, their midfielder who is, he played alongside Sebastian Varela last year, who's gone off and done great things at Lafayette here as a freshman. And this year he's really, he's got a little bit more open space to work with, and he's a very talented player. And with Liam Nelson going forward, they got some... Yeah, they have weapons. Ramapo has weapons, and I expect them to get through here. And a Ramapo-Paramus final would be fun to see. Paramus is one of those 3 teams that's knocked off Ramapo this year. So, North 1 Group 3 is always a fun bracket to watch. This year, no different. North 1 Group 4, you got number 1 Montclair against maybe the best story of the season, Union City, Richie B. first ever Hudson County title this year. That's one matchup, and then you got Morris Knowles against Kearney at the bottom. And Union City's got a tough task, no doubt, on the road at Montclair, one of the state's best programs. But if it did happen, a Union City-Kearney all-Hudson County final in North 1 Group 4 would be fun.
Oh, that would be nuts. At Kearney? Oh,
Yeah.
that would be insane. You'd have to get there, and especially with you'd have to get there like 4 hours early.
Right.
But Union City, high flying, high scoring, sending numbers forward. It's almost like they don't even. I mean, that's not true, but I mean, like they don't care about conceding goals. Like they just want to set a tone and say we're gonna push people up front. We're gonna anything within 30 yards. We're gonna take shots on that, and they're gonna be fun to watch. And it's gonna be interesting to see what they do against the more traditionally buttoned up Montclair side. I mean, Montclair has always been, very physical and just a solid program with a lot of depth. So it's going to be two kind of contrasting styles, but that's it. That's what makes for a fun game in Central.
Yes. All right. Let's touch on non-public A. You got the two Bergen County teams left. Bergen Catholic has to pay a visit to Del Barton, the number 1 team in the state, and Don Bosco Prep will have its hands full against Seton Hall Prep, the number 3 seed. That's non-public A. In non-public B, you got Dwight Englewood still alive. Dwight Englewood was a high seed in the Bergen County tournament, lost on penalty kicks to its rival Tenafly, but now back in a bracket of similar schools. And Dwight Englewood is the favorite here, I think. Obviously as the number 1 seed they would be, but those things don't always make a big difference. But, right, I'm just vamping here because I don't know anything about Gil St. Bernard, the number 4 seed, nor Montclair Kimberly Academy, nor Newark Academy. I mean, a lot of Essex County represented in there, Richie B., and, that is your wheelhouse. So go ahead, say something profound.
Yeah, well, Newark Academy and Montclair Kimberly, and wasn't a fan of either one. I got to be honest with you. So I'm going with the Bulldogs. I think the field that they play on is also going to be a little bit of a factor. A lot of shadows, a little narrow.
Yep.
Again, when you're
could be muddy
on a field like that, right? When you're used to playing on a field like that, and other teams go there, and it takes them a while to adjust. By the time they adjust, you could be down a goal or two. And I think that's another advantage of the Bulldogs, and I think they're another team that's chomping at the bit, thinking, seeing Glen Rock win a county championship and saying, you know what, we're just as talented as that team is. We that could have easily been us. So now we feel like, all right, we have a shot at being a championship team ourselves, and this is their shot. And I think they're going to get it done.
Yeah, well, Dwight Englewood was the number 3 seed in the Bergen County tournament. Glen Rock was the number 9 and had to play an out-bracket game. So if you look at it that way, why not us, Dwight Englewood, for sure. North 2, Group 2, we have Old Faithful, Harrison, the top seed. They'll host your team that you covered, Madison, the other day, and then we got Caldwell, Hackettstown. Do you want to expand on that at all? I mean, does Madison have a shot against Harrison?
They do have a shot. They do have a shot. You know why? Because they against Rutherford, I mean, skill-wise, it was very similar, I thought. But Madison really did a good job of it seemed like they won almost every ball of the day. And Harrison is not really known for winning balls in the air.
No,
never really has been.
Right, they want to keep it on the ground and
play it on the ground. They had to play it on the ground and just kind of two-touch you to death.
Yep.
But if Madison can get some restarts within 35, 40 yards, they could be super dangerous. And again, I think Harrison is probably the more skilled side, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win. And Madison also rock solid defensively. Jack Flanagan in the back, Brendan Armstrong in net. They're going to, that's going to be a really, really good game. That's kind of going to go under the radar a little bit.
And the last team we have remaining, this is the wackiest. This just shows the folly of the sectional tournament that has become groupings in the sectional tournament. Somehow, Cliffside Park is the number 9 seed in the North 2 Group 3 bracket. They go off the map to win their way into the semifinals. I mean, they quote-unquote upset the top seed Irvington in the quarterfinals to get to the semifinals. And now here's a sectional grouping for you in a state sectional semifinal. Number 9 Cliffside hosts number 12 Matawan in the semifinals here. I mean, come on. Can we get Cliffside back in North 1, or at least put them back in Group 2, where they might have something in common with any opponent they might play in the state tournament? It's just stupid.
I mean, their 3 opponents are Chatham, Irvington, and Matawan,
Right.
3 of which are kind of nowhere near each other.
Right. I mean, what?
And all 3 of them are nowhere near Cliffside. All 3 of them are probably at least 45 minutes from Cliffside.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but
I mean, nobody.
got to play who's in front of you.
Yeah, but nobody.
Cliffside's going to bring a crowd. That's going to be a good game.
Yeah, Cliffside's going to win that game because I don't know where Matawan is. I don't care if they hear this. And they've never experienced anything like playing a game at Cliffside Park. You know, it's not what the state said. Listen, if that was a state semifinal or a state final, fine. I get it. You got to go out of your area. But Cliffside should not be in North 2 Group 3. And it does them a disservice, too, because they fall off the map. They can't get coverage. Who's going to watch Cliffside Park Irvington? Any paper, any publication across the state, that game doesn't match what you're trying to cover. You're trying to get, 2 teams from your area, or at least, interesting crossovers. Instead, they put Cliffside out on an island. And all that being said, Richie B will be in attendance to cover it so he can get some high rooms.
That's right, and that is why you go to NorthJerseySports.com. Cliffside, hard-hitting stories. Richie B is on the case.
Please have it ready for him at Hiram's. He wants a 21 CB, and he'll be in about 4:05 to pick it up. Thank you.
If the story doesn't get written, I apologize. I probably had a heart palpitation right there in Hiram's, but I can't wait.
A coronary event on the way. All right, Richie B, we did it all. We talked girls soccer. We had Tara Madigan on. We talked boys soccer. Nothing left to do but hang up the phone and go cover some games.
Follow the leader.